Shalom to the brothers and sisters in the Messiah, in the body of the Messiah. Hallelujah. Praise our Father today. I just want to give this message to you and make you guys aware of something that maybe has been kind of swept under the rug. Maybe you are not aware of it. Maybe you are aware of it. And also provide a little bit of solutions, at least for my area. I'm hoping that you hear and understand the warning after 2020. I hope that you see that judgment is coming to pass in the land, not just in America, but the whole world is going through something right now. And I remember in this thing that I'm talking about in particular today, I brought it up a year ago in the springtime of 2019. And at the time in the Midwest, there were 500 tornadoes that hit the Midwest. And I started saying at that time, there's going to be issues with famine and food shortages. And I even recall telling my daughter at the time, first you're going to see, and my children rather, when we were in the grocery store, and it was about 500 tornadoes. And I was like, wow. First you're going to see the prices are going to start going up. The prices are going to rise in food little by little, and then you're going to start to really feel it, or you're going to really see it. And then I was saying there's going to be spots, things that are missing from the shelves, things that are usually in stock are not going to be there. Things are going to be harder to find. And I figured it'd be about a 2 years buffer before we started seeing that. But those things are already happening now this year. And in this video that I'm about to show you right here, this congressman was speaking to the food shortage that's coming, this food crisis that you're going to see and feel very soon. Just like it was hard to find toilet paper a few months ago, it's going to be very hard to find food and things that you're looking for. And then there's going to come a time where you're really not going to have anything on the shelves. You're going to go to the grocery store and prices are going to be outrageous, things that we could not imagine. Like, for example, right now, you couldn't imagine going to the grocery store and seeing a loaf of bread for like $20. But these days are coming. I'm not saying it's going to be literally $20, but maybe, and maybe more, or maybe not there at all. So listen to this and watch this video. I encourage you, watch it all the way through, especially those who are in the body of the Messiah, because you're going to understand and see a lot of what is in Revelation, and you're going to see that if you're reading your word, and you should be, if you're calling yourself in the body of the Messiah, if you're calling yourself following Yehoshua HaMashiach, called Jesus Christ of Nazareth, if you are walking this thing out, then that means you're studying your word, and you're going to see ways he showed us throughout the scriptures to prepare for this thing that's coming, that's here. But listen how they cut him off. They shut off his mic and they don't even address this question. Let's go.
Now let me go to one other area, to you, Secretary Mnuchin. None of the lending facilities established have targeted the needs of our agriculture industry. Now, why do I mention that? Food. It's coming. I mean, I can't see why people can't see this crisis. Food shortages are coming. It's almost like the farmers have been the forgotten ones. Are they qualifiable as small businesses? Many of them don't know. They're sort of out there, just drifting along the misty flats. What are you all doing to help lift up and make sure that we give our farmers, our rural communities, the kind of help that they need? Because all the food chain is going down. You hear about the closures. The food processors are going out. Farmers are coming. These are small, most of them, but they're very important. Why can't they be qualified as small businesses? Where are they? They're getting lost in the shuffle. And if we get a food shortage, we're in,
Thank you, Mr. Lukemeyer.
Now notice they cut him off.
They cut him off for speaking what's true, what's coming and what's here. And while you might notice that for the same things that you used to buy, say a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, those prices may have gone up 10 cents here, 5 cents there, and these things are going to continue to increase. And why is it that you ask? Again, I said in the beginning, I spoke on this a year ago in the springtime, and at the time there was about 500 tornadoes. And by the end of 2019 in the Midwest, there were 935 tornadoes that hit the Midwest. And there was 1,500 tornadoes that were, had tornado warnings rather. 1,520 tornado warnings, 935 confirmed tornadoes. And there's usually, it says here, about 1,000 a year. But that's throughout the country. This was in a certain area. I'm talking about the Midwest. And in the Midwest, you got to ask yourself, so what's the big deal? I'm sure some of you are wondering. Well, the big deal is right here. The crops that are grown in the Midwest. They're responsible for about 75% in this area alone. There's 127 million acres of agricultural land, and that grows our corn, a majority of our corn, soybeans, alfalfa, apples, asparagus, green beans, blueberries, cabbage, carrots, sweet and tart cherries, cranberries, cucumbers, grapes, oats, onions, and peaches, and so much more. These things are grown in that area, and these crops in 2019 were devastated. In 2020, they're still experiencing tornadoes that are being so underreported. And if you're wondering, how does this affect you if you think you don't eat these things, or most of your food, if you're getting the boxed and processed things, look at the ingredients on the side. Like even your box of cereals, think of your Kellogg's cornflakes, comes from these ingredients here. Or even if you're making a pizza or whatever, and you're using oat flour or corn flour and soybeans. If you look on most boxes of anything, even salad dressings, soybeans are a huge, across the board, like it's included in everything, whether it be soybean oil or whatever kind of mixture that they put in there, including soybeans. Now, me personally and my family, we are mostly plant-based. We also eat vegan food from time to time, but we eat a lot of these plants, and we're noticing the prices going up. Or even some things like, for example, garbanzo bean flour. We use that, and I make like a garbanzo bean scramble, for us for breakfast, or it's in ingredients in some other things. We make flour for unleavened bread on the Shabbat, on the 7th day of the week. When I prepare on the sixth day, or on preparation day, I make like tortillas, like flatbreads, basically with no yeast in it. And I'm noticing the prices of these things, or seeing less and less of it on the shelf. And it's not that it's impossible to find. I can go to another store, but where it used to be fully stocked, they may have like one or two or something like that. These things are being affected. The price of your fruits, your vegetable, your produce basically is increasing. I know in Florida, a year ago, I've seen a report that many of the orange trees, I live in Florida, many of the orange trees and orange groves are suffering from some kind of fungus or something that's making the oranges no longer edible, or, no longer good for consumption. And so a lot of these things are having to be tossed out. A lot of farmers are being told to throw out food because there's nowhere to send it to due to the COVID shutdown, closing so many businesses. And while you may be able to go to your Whole Foods and Walmart and Target, think of all the little, mom and pop stores and the nutrition, the health stores outside of just Whole Foods, but those nutrition stores, well, those things have been shut down for a period of time. Some are shut down, and unable to open again. And so as we're experiencing this, a lot of farmers have nowhere to send their food, nowhere to, ship these things, and the government is telling them to toss it out. Some are leaving the food to just rot right there in the ground, and they're shutting down. They're unable to sustain because, again, just like this congressman was saying, is that they are not qualified for a lot of the small business or the business help that is mostly going to bigger businesses anyway, but they're not qualified to receive that assistance to continue their job. It was also not mentioned mainstream in the news. Is this it here? Not even this. I'll look it up here. Another thing that's destroyed our crops this year is this derecho. And now I live in Florida, so I know about hurricanes. We know the wind, the rain, it can mess up our strawberries and our orange trees from time to time. Well, over in the Midwest, they had something, and this is the first year I've ever heard this word, called a derecho. And it happened over in Iowa and other parts of the Midwest. And basically, it's a hurricane that happens on land. Like, it doesn't come from the Atlantic and come across the ocean and come here. It's actually one that kind of starts on land, I believe, or starts maybe in the Gulf. I'm not sure, but it knocked out. It was on August 10th and 11th. This wasn't in the mainstream news. I saw this on some girl's TikTok that was going viral on Facebook, talking about how they had no electricity. A lot of the power lines were down. A lot of crops were destroyed. And this was not reported in the mainstream news. We also know about the fires and everything going on in California. We see this every day reported in the news, that all of these fires are going on, and whether it be from arson or if it is from natural disaster, if it's, whatever reason that it's here, there are fires going on, burning acres and acres. I want to say it's been millions of acres of land burnt up in California. And it's been devastating, and it's been truly, I know some people think, well, we don't live there, so how does it, it's not really affecting me directly or impacting me directly. One, if you're in the body of the Messiah, that's a selfish thought. You need to love your neighbor as yourself, but also look and see the effect that what is going on over there, how it affects us over here. What grows in California? California is responsible for 90% or more of the production of almonds. So if you're like me, you're plant-based and you drink almond milk, or you eat almonds as a source of just healthy fat and a source of, just good stuff for your brain. I hear my son up front laughing from that. Almonds, artichokes, avocados, guacamole people who love that Taco Tuesday, broccoli, cauliflower, celery, dates, figs, grapes, strawberries, lemons, lettuce, plums, and walnuts. These are things, 90% of what is distributed throughout the U.S. is from California. And we are watching on the news, for whatever reason, acres and acres and acres of this place. You got to think also the vineyards are there. So if you're wine drinkers, or even I'm sure they use some of it just for actually grapes, these things are being burnt up over there. And, we really need to take in consideration, how is this going to affect us? How is it affecting people? Not only are people losing their homes and their jobs, businesses are burning up. So it's affecting your brother and your sisters, possibly. For those who are, if there are any in the state of California, there should be still brothers and sisters in the Messiah there. We should be praying for them. But also understand the bigger picture here. You see, in Revelation, it speaks of, the prophets, they spoke of famines. Revelation speaks of these destruction, these things that are coming. The things we're seeing right now, it's right there. And so again, let's continue. Look at what other things now. We shouldn't be eating this anyway, because no matter what people are saying, the food laws still apply. Why? Because the Most High has never forgot to how to take care of your body, how your body is going to function its best. He knows what is good, what is not, what is healthy, what is not, and the purpose and the intent of these animals. However, for those who do eat this thing, eat these foods, or thing, it's not for me, I don't consider it food, but for pigs, swine flu. Have they been talking? I don't have cable, so I'm not sitting there just watching everything on the news or watching the mainstream things all the time. So I may miss some things, but are they reporting that there's been many pigs, thousands of pigs that have been affected with this and have had to be killed and thrown out? I'm not sure about this either. Did they report about that farm in Michigan that had that 300,000 hens were killed, having an effect on our egg production and chicken production here? Did they mention this thing? I know that was back in January. And now to what's going on right now as we speak. The things that are going on in this country. We're seeing food lines in Dallas, Texas. Look at the food lines. Thousands of cars lined up to receive food from food banks. People have lost their jobs. People are unable to just go to the grocery store. Some of the jobs are not coming back. Some of them are finally slowly creeping back in, but we have a financial crisis that's coming. The economy is being destroyed before our very eyes from this thing. Even in Florida, in the state of Florida where I live, we are seeing long lines of cars, miles long, needing to receive food assistance. Some people are unable to get through the end of the week, confident that they're going to have food every day, unless they're in this line. And then today in the news, I saw that Virginia is having the same issue. A lot of states are having the same issue with people waiting for long periods of time in long lines, waiting for food. Now, as I say this thing, I don't like to just present a problem and have no solution. That seems counterproductive. It seems like it would be instilling a spirit of or worry and fear and anxiety, and that's not what I'm here for. I'm just very grateful and praise our Father in heaven that He has showed us and presented us solutions. One thing I've seen, because I believe the enemy, even though he's doing all these things, has to kind of give us a heads up and give us away, because he has to play by the rules. Even though he's wicked, there's still, he can't do anything that the Most High does not allow him. So I'm seeing lately, like, as we have this Cold War kind of thing going on with China, there's less and less of other items in the stores. I'm noticing in Walmart, there's whole sections cleaned out. And then speaking of cleaning, their cleaning area, which used to be 2 aisles, is now condensed down to 1, at least in the Walmart in my area. And now on one of those aisles, I'm seeing bulk foods and canned foods and things like that for long term that are in the aisles. And this is a time that would be wise to prepare. Remember our patriarch, Joseph, who was sold by his brothers into Mitzrayim, Egypt. And then he, as he was then later in prison. And of course, I'm giving the shortened version, which is why I really encourage you to read your word, pay attention, and look deeper, look at the spiritual meaning and what's going on here. But he was presented before Pharaoh to determine what his dreams meant. And Pharaoh had 2 different dreams, both of them showing, because there's witnesses of 2 or 3, showing that there's going to be a famine that lasted 7 years in the land. 7 years in the land. And Joseph, the Most High gave Joseph the ability to interpret, but also gave him a solution to this thing. And they put away 1/5 of everything for those 7 years of plenty to use during the 7 years of famine. Now, right now, let's be honest, if you're just waking up, if you're just understanding, we don't have 7 years to prepare for what's coming. But right now, food is available. And so it would be wise decision to prepare. And there's many ways. Not everybody's told to prepare by gathering food. Some need to prepare by learning to fast. Learning to go a day and 2 days and 3 days without food and without water. And at the very least, while you're starting off, learning to just go without food. Start off by saying, okay, I won't eat anything till 12 o'clock. All right, I won't eat anything till 4 o'clock. Even if you have to start off by, drinking water and saying, okay, I'm going to just drink water and I'm going to go till 4 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to go a whole day from sundown to sundown. And I'm going to go a whole day with no food and no water. All right, now I'm going to try to go another, a day and a half, 2 days and 3 days, and build up until where you're going 3 days or so without food is no big deal to you. Learn to fast. Some are being prepared in that way. Learn to eat just the plants, the original diet given to us in Genesis. Being able to use your yards, or if you're in like an apartment or something and you have maybe a balcony, or you can have an area in your home where you can grow food. Learn to grow food and learn to be satisfied with fruits and vegetables. Some are going to be prepared in that they are able and, able to buy a little extra and put things away, buying, canned foods, buying long-term foods, buying ingredients, not just prepackaged and processed foods. But the biggest thing that is in our way with this that's going on is our American food diet, like the way that we eat, where we've been told for years, eat 3 to 5 meals a day. That's one of the, we've been told that our whole lives. It's one of the harder ones to break. So I would work on that first. And remember when Elijah, when he was in the wilderness, when he was out there, a raven fed him twice a day. So learn to eat just twice a day. Because that's what we really, should be doing, to give our bodies time to rest, to eat and to fully digest and process that before you go putting something else in. We have not learned to be satisfied with unless we're stuffing our mouth. And this is not everybody, but I know for me that was a struggle on learning to not do that thing. It takes time. And so right now, as you're listening to this video, learn and unlearn how they've been telling you to eat and learn how to eat. You do not need meat at every single meal. You do not need to eat meat 3 to 5 times a day. So learn to eat healthier, learn to eat twice a day, learn to take care of your body, because it's going to be you're going to make this these years of famine harder. And this is just the food famine. There's going to come a time where having somebody like me or the other people who get on here and share the word with you, giving it to you in present truth and giving it to you just so that way for understanding, edification, learning, studying, and showing yourself approved. These things right here it's not going to be available. So an even bigger thing that I would encourage Everybody, especially those who say they follow the Messiah. If you're saying you're in the body of the Messiah, some call themselves Christian, some, want to give themselves fancy titles. I'm a prophet, I'm a this and that, and they have not read this whole word. I'm telling you, the biggest thing you need to be consuming right now is the Bible from cover to cover. I know people try to give you all these ways. Well, you should start in this book and you should start. I'm telling you right now, start in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, and keep reading until you get to Revelation, the end of Revelation. Read the whole thing. And then when you finish reading it, read it again for understanding every time. It's like an onion, and you're going to peel back and get layer after layer after layer after layer of understanding and edification. Spend time in prayer. You see, not just reading, but also in prayer and having a relationship with the Messiah. I encourage you these things right now. And again, I don't like to just present the problem with no solution. You see, the enemy, when he, just like in California, when they started making it where they're not selling Bibles anymore, or they're only selling certain versions of the Bible that omit scriptures and take certain scriptures out. This is why I recommend the King James Version. This is the version of the Bible that I read. The Restored Names King James Version of the Bible, with his word. But I encourage you right now to start reading that, so that way when they say, hey, listen, there's no more Bibles being sold. And then if they ever do come and say, listen, if you have a Bible, you need to give those things up, that word is written in you. We need to be memorizing this thing. And you might not memorize the whole thing word for word, cover to cover, but I'm telling you, if you read it and you're studying it, that in certain situations, this will come to memory. You will remember again, and it will encourage you to continue, because it's he who endures until the end that will be saved. There's some people who are right now holy and righteous and all of these things, and they are going to give up as things get harder because they are not reading this word. They call themselves prophet. They call themselves all these things, and they're going to make excuses why we are allowed to bow our knee. And I'm telling you, we can't. But again, for the sake of where many people stand right now, as I know that I plan on sharing this on my community, on the community page where I live, and and I'm hoping that they will share it with their friends and their families. As a time right now, while we can, get prepared. If you are able to prepare by having a little extra food around, I'm not talking about, ridiculous amounts and, like nothing crazy. You have faith, trust in our Father in heaven, trust in Yehovah. We really need to. But I'm saying, for whatever way that the Most High leads you, spend time in prayer. The way that he's leading you to prepare, whether it be fasting, whether it be learning to eat the way, this twice a day and being satisfied, the way that he showed us through Eliyahu during their times when it was no rain, so nothing's growing. Whether it be through preparing by having extra food available, just like Joseph did. It's time right now to start doing that thing, because the news media is not warning you of what's really going on. And what's going on is there's a lot of people that are in need right now. Farmers are being told to discard food because the businesses are not open. They're not receiving the financial assistance they need during this time of COVID. And we're seeing what's going on. I know I moved into this neighborhood. It's a lot of homes still being built. We all have these beautiful backyards, and I'm encouraging you right now, start growing things. That way we can maybe work as a community, and maybe one person grows this or has that, and we can trade. Message me directly, or put it in the little comment area here, because I would hate to see brothers and sisters in the Messiah. I would hate to see even people just, who are not yet saved out here struggling. I don't want to see children unable to eat for weeks at a time, for a week and 2 weeks, and not really having much to eat. I don't know. That's just me though. But I'm coming up with solutions. All right, that's all I have. Thank you so much for listening. Shalom.